Good morning, children. A very warm welcome to our online audio video lessons. I'm Shalija from Shet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College. Today's subject, English Prose, Class 6th, Lesson 4.7. Topic, The Sword in the Stone. Video number 38. Let's begin, children. 4.7, The Sword in the Stone. Here is the glossary. Just go through it. Here is the introduction and summary of the lesson, children. Just give a reading before we proceed to the lesson. 4.7 The Sword in the Stone, page number 98 in the textbook, children. King Arthur, famous in legends and his history as one of the bravest and noblest kings of Britain, grew up as an orphan youth before destiny intervened in the form of protector and guardian. So Merlin the magician to reveal his true identity to the people of Britain. So Merlin the magician is telling the story to the people about King Arthur, who was an orphan. And in ancient Britain, at a time when the land was invaded by wild barbarians, people who are not civilized and all. So the good and noble Lord Arthur fought them bravely and drove them away from his land. And people called him the king and gave him a title as Pendragon. Pendragon means what? It is dragon's head. And King Arthur Pendragon ruled the Britain very wisely and very well. People were very happy, contented. But he soon died. It was believed that he was poisoned by the traitors. Traitors means disloyal people to the country. Okay, so the powerful lords and knights, they all fought together and they wanted to become the king of Britain. In this way, 16 years passed since the death of Lord Arthur. All the lords and knights Britain had assembled at the great church of London for Christmas. On Christmas morning, just as they were leaving the church, a strange sight drew their attention. What is that? In the churchyard was a large stone, and on it an anvil of steel. Anvil means a big block of steel was there, and in the steel a naked sword was held. A naked sword was held, and about it was written in letters of golden, saying that, "Whose pulleth out the sword is by right of birth king of England." That means, whoever pulls this sword out of the anvil will become the king by right and by right of birth king of England. So many of the knights could not hold themselves back. They came, they attempted, they tried to pull it out, but nothing was successful. Obviously, the man who might draw the sword and prove himself to be our rightful king is not amongst us, said the archbishop. So he's the person who was to pull this is not among us, the archbishop in the church, he told. Then, after this, there was, and to celebrate after the church service, they went to to celebrate the appearance of his magnificent sword and prepare ourselves for the arrival of our future king. And later on, a magnificent tournament, will be kept on New Year's Day if somebody does this. On New Year's Day, a great number of young, brave knights gathered to attend the church service. And after that, to participate in the great tournament between dukes and counts, earls, barons, and knights. These are all the different categories of people there onto the field. Then, among them was Sir Ector. Sir Ector, a noble knight. He is a very genuine noble knight. And he was having two sons. One is Sir Kay and young Arthur. Young Arthur was an orphan and he adopted him. So he is an adopted son for him, but he loved both of them very dearly. So So as Sir Kay was preparing to join the tournament, he realized that he forgot his sword. So he called young Arthur to come here and uh, go home on the horse gallop and get the sword, my sword, back. The King Arthur said, "Okay, I'm going." He went out of the church, and suddenly the sun rays has shown the sword, and it fell on his face. And he saw that, and he easily, very easily pulled that sword out and brought him and gave. Then he said, "This is not my sword." So he said, "This is not your sword, but I brought it from here. It was there, and we'll keep it back once you finish off your work," he said. "So you're back very soon, Sir Kay." "Yeah," he said everything, and the game will put it back, he said. Sir Kay stood speechless, staring at his young brother. He doesn't know anything about whose sword is this, what, and nothing. And he was totally speechless. Who? Sir Kay, seeing this. Then he adored his father and his half brother, and his dream was to become the squire of his dashing brother. And without even knowing what it implied, Arthur had drawn the magic sword from the stone. And Kay's mind was working rapidly. He actually held the sword of the stone in his hand, the very same sword that the strongest and best knights could not so much as grip to or get hold of. So the other knights were not even able to hold or grip and all, and he has pulled it. Sir Kay seized the sword and ran to their father, leaving a bewildered Arthur behind him. So he was totally confused. Why? What happened? Why is he saying like this? Then he said to him, Sir Ector, "Father, father, this is the sword of the stone, and I have it in my hand. I am the rightful king of Britain." Sir Ector was a wise man. "How did you get hold of this sword, son?" he asked his eldest born. So when he told that, "I took out," Sir Kay said that, "I took it out." And Sir Ector is a very wise man. He told, "How did you pull it? How did you even hold it?" he asked. "And that's enough," said the father quietly. "How did you get hold of this sword?" Sir Ector asked the son, Sir Kay. "I've got it, and that's what matters," Kay replied, stubborn as ever. "I bought it, that is enough. That what's matter. Who took it out and all is not the concern," he said. "Well, then come with me," Sir Ector said, and led his son inside the great church, which was now empty. Taking the holy book from the choir, Sir Ector said to his son, "Swear on the holy book that you drew the sword from the stone." So he took him to the church and took out the Bible and asked him to swear him. "Promise him that you took it out, you tell that. Tell the truth." Then Sir Kay lowered his eyes. He could not face his father now. So he was ashamed of what he has told. "How did you come by the sword, son?" Sir Ector asked him once again. "Arthur brought it to me, father," said Kay, still with his eyes lowered. "Bring Arthur here, and let the three of us go to the churchyard," Sir Ector told him. "We have to know the truth about this." Soon the three of them were at the churchyard. "Put the sword back on its anvil," Sir Ector said to Kay. But try as he might, Kay could not do that to put the sword back. And Arthur saw what was happening and thought that his father was angry with them because he thought the sword was stolen. Sir Ector had always told his sons what matters most for a knight is integrity, being honest and truthful at all times on all occasions. That is more important, he said, always. You have to be honest and sincere always. So here, yeah, King Arthur, young Arthur, thought that father is very angry now. So Arthur stepped forward impulsively and here, let me put it back. Let me put it back, he said, taking the mighty sword from his elder brother. He thrust it back on the anvil and it slipped it very neatly. He took it out and kept it very neatly, like he has taken out very sweetly. "I assure father, I did not steal the sword." Kay needed a sword urgently, so that's why I could not go home back. He told the whole story that I could not go back home, and also I saw the sword here and I took it out. Sir Kay did not speak a word, and All right, Arthur, I believe you, Sir Ector said. Now let me see you draw this sword draw out as you did the first time. First you, Kay, but try as he might, Kay could not do that. And now it's your turn, Arthur, he said. Arthur gripped the handle of the sword and drew the sword out gently but firmly. Sir Ector made him repeat the action again and again. Each time, Arthur gripped the handle and drew the sword out without any hesitation. And Sir Ector was overwhelmed. He fell on his knees before his young son, who held the mighty sword in his hand and bowed his head in deep devotion. Wordlessly, Kay followed his example. Arthur jumped back in surprise. Father, why do you kneel before me? Am I not your son? He said. Why you're kneeling down? Am I not your son? Why you're bending down on your knees? He said. Who said? Young Arthur. That is what I had thought until now, Sir Kay replied. But now I know better. I know whose son you are. You are the son of good King Arthur Pendragon, and I bow to you as you are the King of Britain now. How could that be? You and I know that I was an orphan boy entrusted to your care. Silently, Sir Ector pointed to the inscription on the stone which Arthur. Look at the picture, children, here on the page. That is the anvil and the sword put in there. Had not seen till now. Whose pulleth out the sword by right of birth, King of England? But it can't be by me, father. I am your son, and I shall always remain your son. There was a flash of light, and Merlin appeared before them, a hooded figure, a magician like a hood on the head, and appeared. Lovingly, he laid his hand on Arthur's head and said to him, Indeed, I was the one who entrusted you to good Sir Ector for your own safety. Your father and I knew that great danger lay ahead for the kingdom and yourself. No sooner than you were born, your father blessed you and handed you over to me, with the solemn request that you would take care your right place on the throne of England when it was safe for you to do so. Said, now when after his death, he was a young boy, so people, they may put his life in danger. So that's why he gave it. Father Arthur, the King Arthur, gave to this magician and given the child to now Sir Ector. Okay, so turning to Sir Ector, Merlin said, In the name of late King Arthur, I thank you. You had done a splendid job of bringing up the heir to the British throne. Now you must inform the Archbishop and your fellow knights of all what has happened here. I shall await your return. Forthwith, Sir Ector called upon the Archbishop and all the lords assembled at the tournament. Holding Arthur the hand, he announced the assembly. And for a moment there was a silence. Who is this unknown boy? Where did he come from? How is he any better than one of us? The archbishop took them all to the churchyard. The entire assemblage watched in awe, in surprise, as Arthur inserted the sword in the anvil and drew it out very effortlessly, very easily. Some of the lords and knights also tried to draw the sword but failed to do so. Again and yet again, Arthur drew the sword from the stone before his people. Each time cheers went up, and cheers time more and more knights drew their swords and held them high in gesture of loyalty to their new-found prince. Loud cheers rose the common people who had surrounded the churchyard, eager to greet their new king. Now Merlin stepped out of the shadows and addressed the crowds. Behold, O people of Britain, I present to you the one and the only son of King Arthur, Pendragon and his queen. He is your rightful king. Good story, isn't it, children? Did you all like it? So just give a good reading once again, revise the lesson and complete the exercises in the workbook. So until our next session, happy learning, take care of yourselves. Thank you, children.